There is a truth that hovers, invisible, over every ambition. You're told to know what you want, to define your dream, to make your intentions crystal clear, as if the universe is some vending machine waiting for your perfect order. But something inside you hesitates. It's not fear of failure. It's not laziness. It's something deeper. A quiet, electric suspicion that naming your desire isn't just about gaining focus. It's about giving something up. Every time you declare what you want, you're closing a door somewhere else. You are told that clarity is power. But what if clarity is just a trick? What if every single intention you set actually deletes infinite possible outcomes, including the one you secretly crave most? In this world, we are obsessed with manifestation, vision boards, affirmations, intention-setting rituals passed around as if they're secret codes to the universe. But beneath the surface, there's a far more terrifying dynamic at play. Something the self-help industry will never talk about. Something quantum physicists whisper about behind locked doors. There is a glitch in reality, and desire is at the heart of it. You have been told that your dreams shape your destiny. You have never been told that your dreams might also be erasing infinite versions of yourself. Realities where you could have been more, done more, become something that no language can describe. The real game isn't about getting what you want. It's about surviving the collapse of possibility that every single desire creates. In this series, we are not here to comfort. We are not here to give you the same recycled formulas, the same tired platitudes, the same hollow encouragement to just believe. This is a journey through paradox, through contradiction, through the cracks in the fabric of existence. Each chapter is a weapon, designed to shatter your beliefs, disrupt your autopilot, and expose the dangerous machinery beneath your everyday longing. Every question here is a bomb. Every revelation is a riddle with no easy answer. If you're looking for comfort, you will not find it. If you're looking for certainty, this is not your sanctuary. But if you are hungry for truth, the kind that burns away illusions and leaves you raw, exposed, and wide awake, then welcome to the glitch. Here's what you will experience. You will confront the uncertainty of wanting. You will watch your desires collapse reality itself. You will face the paradox of manifestation and witness the massacre of your alternate selves. You will look in the mirror of the intention machine and question what remains if you refuse to define your dream. You will discover the prison of specificity and face the possibility that every decision is a lock, not a key. You will feel the eyes of the observer trap, your own possibilities watching you from every shadow. You will witness the collapse of wanting and see your desires sabotaging the very reality you're desperate to create. You will descend into the quantum saboteur and confront the terrifying idea that your own subconscious is hiding futures from you, deliberately, maliciously. You will reach for the mirage of clarity and find that certainty evaporates every time you try to hold it. You will face the paradox of letting go and question if surrender unlocks everything or leaves you with nothing. You will approach the infinite doorway, where not choosing at all opens worlds no one else can see. You will stand in the gravity field of the desire singularity, where the only escape is to become the source instead of the seeker. And you will arrive at the undefined expansion, where your greatest power is to stay unfinished, forever incomplete, forever expanding, forever impossible to pin down. Every belief you hold about wanting, achieving, and becoming will be put on trial. Every rule you've followed about desire and intention will be interrogated. By the end of this series, you will never look at your dreams or your reality the same way again. Do you really know what you want? Or is the act of wanting itself the greatest illusion of all? In the coming minutes, prepare to have your mind fractured, your assumptions incinerated, and your sense of self set on fire, because the quantum wave function of desire is about to be exposed. And you are not ready for what lives in the space between wanting and becoming. The first fracture opens now. What if every time you name your deepest desire, the universe deletes infinite possible outcomes, including the one you secretly crave most? The world is addicted to certainty. You are told that power comes from making your desire explicit, from drawing a line in the sand and naming your wish. The clearer you are, the closer you get. So says every motivational poster, every law of attraction guru, every voice whispering that specificity is your weapon. But beneath this well-lit theater of certainty, there is another stage, hidden, trembling, wild. Quantum physics does not obey your rules. It does not reward the precise. It punishes the one who dares to look too closely. In quantum mechanics, the wave function is everything. It holds all possible futures. The second you measure, the second you observe, that infinity collapses into a single, narrow line. The unobserved is endless. The observed is caged. This is not just a phenomenon for scientists in white coats. This is the architecture of your own wanting. Every desire you name is an act of measurement. It's a spotlight that burns away the darkness, and with it, annihilates every possibility that could have grown in the night. You think you are clarifying your destiny, but you are also killing off all the strange, beautiful, terrifying alternatives that can only exist in the undefined shadows. This is the first glitch in reality you are never meant to see. The moment you say, "This is what I want," 1,000 universes collapse behind you. The infinite library of your potential catches fire. The price of definition is extinction. There is no comfort in this. There is only awe and terror. You have been handed the power to shape reality, and that power is a knife with two edges. You cut through ambiguity, but you also sever the quantum threads that connect you to every other future. When you want, you destroy. This is not philosophy. This is physics. The double-slit experiment proves it. Unobserved, light is a probability wave, a cloud of potential. Observed, it becomes a particle, one path, one outcome, all other possibilities erased. When you want something, truly want it, you observe your own life. You force the world to collapse into a shape, and you can never go back. You're told to manifest your dreams. But do you ever ask what you're sacrificing in the process? The moment you focus, every other future is buried. Every alternative path is sentenced to oblivion. Your ambition is both creator and destroyer. There is a tension here that cannot be resolved. You are trained to crave certainty, but the cost of certainty is infinite loss. What you define, you bring to life. What you define, you also kill. Does this mean you should never want? Should you float in endless ambiguity, paralyzed by the fear of losing potential? That's another trap, a trap built by your own mind. Refusing to want is just another way to avoid risk. But naming your desire is an execution. Every act of wanting is a quantum act. Every wish you make is an irreversible collapse. The version of yourself that could have become something else dies the moment you say, "This is what I choose." Now, take a step back and ask, how much of your suffering comes not from failing to achieve your dreams, but from failing to mourn all the possible selves you left behind the second you made a choice? Desire is not innocent. It is not gentle. It is a force that rips open reality and seals off every route that doesn't serve your immediate, conscious wish. But your conscious wish is just a flicker in the storm of your unconscious possibilities. Quantum mechanics shows that you can never have it all. Not because you are limited, but because observation itself is a weapon. Each time you want, you wield it, even if you don't know whose life you're ending. In this, you are both sovereign and captive. You are the one who chooses, and the one who must live with the infinite deaths that come with every choice. You were never meant to know this. You were meant to stay in the trance. But now the spell is broken. You cannot unsee it. Desire does not just build your future. It burns the blueprint for every other one. This is the risk hidden at the heart of every longing. This is the reason you feel that flicker of fear each time you name what you want. Your nervous system remembers what your conscious mind tries to forget. Every act of wanting is a funeral for possibility. But is this the end of the story? Or is there a way to want without slaughtering your potential? Next, we will turn to a paradox that no self-help book will ever touch. A contradiction so disturbing, most people run from it their entire lives. Now that you've glimpsed how desire collapses futures, now see the dark side of focus. Every goal you chase is murdering your alternate selves in cold blood. Now that you've glimpsed how desire collapses futures, what if I told you that every goal you chase is murdering your alternate selves in cold blood? In the echoing aftermath of that first revelation, something inside you resists. It's not enough to know that desire closes doors. You want to master this force, to wield it with skill. The culture you swim in worships the razor of focus. Define your goal. Visualize it with laser precision. See it, speak it, become it. You are told that those who succeed are the ones who never let their vision waver. But as you lock your eyes on a single outcome, you miss the growing shadow behind you. A mass grave of forgotten futures, each one a version of you that could have been, if only you hadn't chosen so soon. Focus is not the innocent superpower you are told it is. Every single time you narrow your gaze, you pull the trigger on possibility. There is a darkness under every clear vision, a cost no one wants to count. Manifestation promises magic. Ask, believe, receive. But the machinery underneath is anything but gentle. The law of attraction, repeated like scripture, is rarely questioned. Why wouldn't it work? Why not zero in on your dream and grind everything else into dust? Because the price of single-mindedness is blood. Every goal is achieved at the expense of 1,000 unnamed lives. Alternate yous, shadow selves, unchosen paths, all lined up for execution by the firing squad of your focus. You're told to write your desires on paper, chant them like spells, see nothing else. Feels powerful, but the process is merciless. Every day you commit, you are narrowing the aperture of your reality. Every day you fixate, the room gets smaller. Walls rise where once there was open field. Picture a quantum wave. Before observation, it is a wild, trembling sea. Potential everywhere. Chaos blooming into infinity. As soon as you measure, you kill the wave. You get a particle. The many become one, the infinite crushed down to a single reality. In this light, focus is not just power. It is a weapon of mass destruction. It is a guillotine for futures that will never get a second chance. Every day you chase your chosen goal, you murder an army of possible selves, versions of you that could have lived, loved, created, or transformed in ways you cannot even imagine. This is not philosophy. This is the brutal arithmetic of the quantum mind. For every desire you crystallize, countless other desires dissolve into oblivion. For every ambition you pursue, you leave behind a desert of silenced voices. Self-help books rarely mention the carnage. The obsession with clarity is just a disguise for terror. The mind clings to certainty not because it is strong, but because it is terrified of its own infinity. To face the wave is to face your own uncontrollable abundance, the riot of potential that threatens to overwhelm your tiny sense of control. There is a reason focus feels so safe. To look at the world through a pinhole is to silence the chaos outside. The more you concentrate, the less you hear the whisper of the multiverse, the riot of possibilities clamoring for your attention. But what is lost in the act of focus? What secret intelligence is erased each time you ignore the undefined? Does your soul grow, or does it wither with every act of narrowing? It is easy to celebrate the person who knows exactly what they want. Society applauds the determined, the relentless, the obsessed. But obsession is a kind of blindness. Each goal you chase, each dream you hunt, requires you to shut out all competing signals. The music of your infinite self becomes a monotone hum. There is a price to pay for every vision board, every mantra, every single-minded pursuit. That price is a graveyard of alternate yous, murdered in the name of success. It is not your fault. You were never taught to mourn the infinite. You were taught to celebrate the chosen, the actualized, the real. But reality is only real because every other possibility has been denied a seat at the table. Does this mean you should never focus, never choose? No, paralysis is not freedom. But neither is single-mindedness. The lesson is not to refuse wanting. The lesson is to know the cost, to look with clear eyes at the battlefield of your own becoming. Every time you fix your attention, you are creating a shadow. Every time you chase one dream, you are abandoning another. Manifestation is not a law. It is a war. The war is not against the universe. The war is inside your own wave function. Your attention is the most powerful thing you own. But it is a double-edged blade. One edge creates, the other destroys. There is an unspoken violence at the heart of every self-made story. No one talks about the futures that had to die so one version of you could live. The culture of focus is a culture of forgetting, a willful blindness to the infinite casualties left behind. In this quantum battlefield, who survives? The one who wins or the one who remembers what was lost? Your dreams are important, but your dreams are not innocent. Each one is built on the bones of 1,000 could-have-beens. You are not just the architect of your future. You are the undertaker of your own possibility. Somewhere deep inside, you already know this. That's why every time you achieve a goal, there is a flicker of emptiness. A quiet funeral for the versions of you that never got to speak. It is not wrong to want. It is not wrong to focus. But do not mistake focus for freedom. Focus is a form of violence, a necessary violence perhaps, but a violence all the same. Do you want to continue living as an assassin for your own potential? Or can you hold your dreams lightly, knowing they come at a cost that can never be repaid? Next, we will step into an even more disturbing paradox. If every goal you chase kills your alternate selves, what happens if you refuse to define what you want at all? You learned your intentions kill futures. So who or what remains if you refuse to define what you want? Are you a ghost or a god? You learned your intentions kill futures. So who or what remains if you refuse to define what you want? Are you a ghost or a god? There is a place beyond the battlefield of focus, beyond the graveyard of murdered possibilities, where the rules of reality become strange and almost unrecognizable. Here, the old voices that urged you to set clear intentions grow silent. The noise of goals and affirmations fades away, replaced by an uneasy silence. This is the space of the undefined. No target, no mantra, no destination. It is a void that most people avoid at all costs, a place that feels like failure but may hold the seeds of something far more powerful. The mind is addicted to story. It wants to believe it is a protagonist, driven by desire, moving toward a climax. But without a dream to define you, what are you? Are you nobody, drifting through life as a formless observer? Or are you something more, a presence, a field, a ghostly intelligence that defies the very idea of identity? Most are terrified by this question. The machinery of intention is the only thing that feels real. The act of defining, of choosing, of naming, is a way to feel solid in a world that is always shifting. But in the absence of intention, the quantum wave function remains uncollapsed. Possibility lives. Futures breathe. Potential flourishes in the silence. You become less of a person, more of a field. Less of a name, more of a presence. Is this emptiness, or is it a new kind of power? Society cannot tolerate the undefined. The undefined is dangerous. The undefined cannot be controlled, cannot be marketed to, cannot be measured or manipulated. Those who refuse to define their dreams are called lost, lazy, unambitious. But is it possible that they are something else, something no language can capture? Who are you when you are no longer chained to a vision of the future? What remains when you allow yourself to stay in quantum suspension? Not collapsed, not fixed, not committed to any single path. To the outside world, you appear formless, uncommitted, even ghostly. There is no narrative to contain you, no mission statement, no 5-year plan. You float between realities. This state is often pathologized. The self-help machine calls it drifting. But to the quantum mind, it is something closer to omnipresence. In the undefined, you become a ghost in the intention machine. You are not nowhere, you are everywhere. You are not nothing. You are everything that has not yet been denied. This is not an easy existence. It is an existence outside of time, outside of certainty. You are both terrifying and free. The machinery of the world will push you to collapse into a role, to choose an identity, to name your purpose. But you can resist. The cost of resistance is the discomfort of the void. The reward is infinite expansion. To live as a ghost is to haunt every possible future, never tied to a single fate. You slip through the cracks of the world. You see the invisible threads that connect all things. You become a quantum anomaly, a presence that defies categorization. But this state is unstable. It is threatened by every desire, every passing wish. The moment you name a dream, you collapse the field. The moment you define yourself, you kill the ghost. There is a tension here that can never be resolved. The desire to exist, and the terror of being trapped by existence. Are you nothing without a dream? Or are you the dreamer itself, the field in which all dreams arise and dissolve? Are you a ghost, drifting between realities, or a god, shaping the universe from the shadows? The choice is not as simple as it appears. To remain undefined is to risk being forgotten, unmanifested, lost to the machinery of the world. But to define yourself is to accept the prison of form, the cage of certainty. The undefined is not for the faint of heart. It is the space of the magician, the poet, the rebel, the madman. It is the birthplace of creation and the graveyard of identity. In the absence of intention, you are everywhere and nowhere. You are the observer, the witness, the field itself. You are the space between the notes, the silence between the words, the void from which all meaning is born. To become a ghost in the intention machine is to reclaim the power of the undefined. It is to recognize that you are more than the sum of your choices, more than the architecture of your ambitions. You are the wave before collapse. You are the possibility before measurement. You are the living contradiction the world cannot name. But even the ghost cannot remain untethered forever. The machinery of specificity is always humming, always waiting, always tempting you back into form. Every invitation to choose is a trap disguised as freedom. Does refusing to define yourself make you weak, or does it grant you access to the infinite? Are you lost, or are you free? Next, we will expose the paradox that lies at the heart of this tension. If not choosing frees you, then is every choice a self-imposed prison? Or is indecision a hidden superpower no one wants you to use? If not choosing frees you, then is every choice a self-imposed prison? Or is indecision a hidden superpower no one wants you to use? Choice is worshipped as the ultimate expression of freedom. Modern life seduces you with an endless array of options. Products to buy, paths to pursue, selves to become. Each commercial, each algorithm, each motivational speaker shouts, choose, commit, define yourself. The paradox no one wants to see is this: every act of choosing becomes a cell with invisible bars. The world does not celebrate the one who waits, who stays undefined. Society applauds the decision-maker, the committed, the specialist. But beneath this applause is a silent terror, an ancient knowledge that every choice is a chain. Each decision, whether grand or trivial, locks away every alternate possibility. You do not just pick a path. You wall yourself off from all others. You are told indecision is weakness, a character flaw to be overcome, a symptom of confusion. But is it possible that indecision is not a failure, but a defense against the narrowing of reality? Could the state of unchoosing be the last remaining doorway to the infinite? Specificity is addictive. It offers relief from the anxiety of boundless potential. The more you narrow your focus, the more solid your reality becomes. With every choice, ambiguity dissolves, and certainty hardens into identity. But this relief is a form of imprisonment. Every new certainty is another lock turning, another key thrown away. Have you ever felt the heaviness after making a big decision, the sudden, sinking awareness of what's been lost? Even in victory, there's grief. Even in clarity, there's a shadow. Because on the quantum level, every yes is 1,000 silent no's. Each time you commit, universes slip through your fingers. You are not just a chooser, you are a jailer. Your life becomes the sum total of all the possibilities you have excluded. Every role you play, every title you accept, is both a gift and a shackle. The expert is not free. The successful are not immune. The prison of specificity is constructed one decision at a time. The myth of finding yourself is built on the worship of choice. You are told to try, to fail, to choose again and again until you land on your true path. But this path is not a highway to freedom. It is a narrowing corridor, walls closing in, futures shut out, ambiguity exiled. The more you choose, the smaller you become. Does this mean indecision is a solution? Not in the shallow sense of procrastination or avoidance, but as an active refusal to let reality collapse too soon. To stay undefined, even in the face of pressure, is to remain open to the full range of possibility. It is not cowardice, it is a quantum stance. But the machinery of society hates this stance. The undefined cannot be predicted, cannot be measured, cannot be controlled. Every system, from marketing to government, is designed to force choice, to demand identity, to require collapse. Those who refuse to choose are cast out, labeled lost or dangerous or mad. But who truly has the power, the one who picks a cage or the one who keeps every door ajar? There is a hidden superpower in indecision, a resistance to the prison of specificity. It is a form of stealth, of quantum camouflage. The undefined are not easily targeted, not easily exploited, not easily broken. The world cannot sell you a dream if you have not declared which dream you want. The world cannot imprison you if you refuse to draw the borders of your cell. In every myth, the trickster is undefined, unpredictable, impossible to pin down. This is not an accident. It is a survival strategy, a secret handshake with possibility. But to remain undefined is not to float aimlessly, lost in ambiguity. It is to hold your choices lightly, to refuse the trance of total commitment. It is to know that every decision is a trade, a sacrifice of potential for the comfort of certainty. To know this is to be awake. To refuse to forget is to stay powerful. You have been taught to see choice as freedom. But what if the ultimate freedom is the refusal to be pinned down? What if the highest power is not in selecting a path, but in keeping all paths alive within you? Your indecision is not your enemy. It is the ghost of infinite possibility, the echo of your quantum self, the last rebellion against the tyranny of the single outcome. In a world obsessed with clarity, your ambiguity is sacred. But the pressure will never stop. The world will always demand you choose. And every time you do, the prison grows a little smaller. Still, there is a cost to remaining undefined. The undefined cannot be celebrated. The undefined cannot be envied. The undefined are invisible to history. The undefined are free, but alone in their freedom. Can you bear the loneliness of infinite possibility? Can you live as a question, not an answer? Can you wield the superpower of indecision without falling into despair? The machinery of specificity is relentless. But in the cracks of the system, in the pauses between decisions, in the moments when you resist the pressure to choose, you become untouchable. You become a portal to all that could be. You become a living paradox, a body without a single destiny, a presence without a fixed future. Next, we will step into a new nightmare. If every choice is a prison, is it possible that your very sense of self is not a stable observer, but a surveillance system, a watcher haunted by every intention you set, every camera staring back, recording, judging, multiplying your traps? Now that you've seen your prison, what if your self is actually a surveillance system, each intention you set, another camera staring back? Now that you've seen your prison, what if your self is actually a surveillance system, each intention you set, another camera staring back? You are taught to believe that you are the observer, the conscious witness, the one who sees, the one who knows. But under the surface of this comforting belief, a silent network is growing. With every intention you set, you install another camera. With every goal, another lens. Every dream, another watcher. Before long, you are no longer just the observer. You are being observed. By yourself. There is no such thing as a private intention. Each desire creates a ripple, a distortion in the field of possibility. Every wish is a signal broadcast into the quantum ether, and that signal is recorded by every future self, every parallel outcome, every ghost you left behind in the wave function. The more you want, the more you are seen. The more you are seen, the less free you become. You build your prison with decisions, but you fill it with cameras, observers that turn your life into a panopticon, a surveillance state where every intention is another eye staring back. The more you try to control reality, the more reality controls you. The observer becomes the observed. The watched becomes the watched over. Quantum physics shatters the illusion of separation between observer and observed. The act of watching changes the thing being watched. The act of wanting changes the thing being wanted. Your intentions are not neutral. They are instruments of measurement, and every measurement narrows the field, collapses the wave, kills the possibility. You do not live in a single reality. You live in a labyrinth of potential, a hive of watchers and watched, each intention you set becoming a node in the network. Each possibility you ignore becomes a shadow on the wall. Each wish you pursue becomes a watcher you cannot escape. You are not just the protagonist of your story. You are the central feed in an endless surveillance network of your own making. Each time you set an intention, you split the field. You multiply the eyes in the darkness. Is this what you wanted when you declared your goals so boldly, so publicly, so relentlessly? Is this the victory that was promised? The feeling of being hunted by your own ambition, haunted by your own desires? The more you want, the more you are seen, not just by the world, but by the branching, watching multitudes of yourself. Every time you measure, you become more visible to all the other realities you might have inhabited. The watcher cannot hide from the watched. The act of observation is a trap. It is the price of self-awareness. The more you become, the more you are watched over by what you could have been. Every abandoned future becomes a ghost in the machine. Every unchosen self a judge on the sidelines. It is easy to believe you are alone in your decisions, isolated in your subjectivity. But quantum reality denies you this comfort. You are never alone. You are watched by every version of yourself that could have been. You are never unobserved. You are never unmeasured. The observer trap is more than a metaphor. It is a way of seeing the mind as a field of multiplied perspectives. Each intention is a new angle, a new frame, a new camera. Before long, you are living in a hall of mirrors, every reflection another eye, every eye another judge. This is the nightmare hidden inside the dream of self-creation. The more you define, the more you are defined. The more you wish, the more you are wished for. Every goal you set is a contract with your own surveillance system. It is not enough to know you are being watched by others. The real terror is knowing you are being watched by yourself, by every possible self you will never meet. Does this make you want to stop wanting? Does it make you want to hide from your own intentions? Or does it give you a new kind of freedom, the freedom to know that there is no escape, only the choice of which watcher you wish to become? You live inside the observer trap. You are both camera and subject, warden and prisoner, creator and creation. Each intention you set is another watcher, another record, another layer of reality that cannot be undone. But what happens when wanting itself becomes the thing that sabotages you? What if every act of desire makes your goal forever unreachable? Next, we will pull back the curtain and face the collapse of wanting itself. If every observer changes the experiment, then does every act of wanting make the thing you want forever unreachable? If every observer changes the experiment, then does every act of wanting make the thing you want forever unreachable? Desire was supposed to be your weapon, intention your secret, focus your magic. That's the mythology, repeated by every self-help movement, every motivational speech, every story of triumph. Yet now the contradiction is impossible to ignore. Your own act of wanting bends reality away from you, not toward you, away. It is not just that each intention sets in motion a surveillance system, a self-imposed panopticon where you are both watched and watcher. It is that the act of observation itself does not guarantee manifestation. It destabilizes it. Every act of wanting is a disturbance in the field. Each desire injects interference into the very reality you are attempting to sculpt. This is the quantum collapse no one wants to face. The double-slit experiment taught the world that the mere act of observing transforms a wave of infinite possibilities into a single, fixed reality. But the full horror is never discussed. The observer changes the experiment, and the experiment changes the observer. The more you want, the more the outcome slips through your fingers. Wanting is not a neutral force. Each act of desire warps the field. Each hope interferes with the pattern. Every hungry glance, every longing thought, every wish is a fingerprint pressed against the quantum glass. The world reacts, not by offering what you seek, but by folding itself away from your observation. What was possible becomes impossible by the very force of your attention. This is not superstition. This is not philosophy dressed as science. The physical world itself bears the signature of this paradox. In the quantum realm, particles shift and disappear under the weight of measurement. The dream you chase recedes. The treasure you hunt moves just out of reach. Desire is supposed to draw the world closer. Yet each time you reach, the goalpost moves. Each time you name your longing, the outcome is altered. Your wanting creates turbulence in the sea of potential. You are not just the author of your story, but the saboteur of your own happy ending. The rituals of manifestation are not innocent. They are a ritual of interference. Each affirmation, each vision board, each act of visualizing is a disturbance, rippling through the field, collapsing probability, creating resistance where there once was flow. You have felt this without understanding it. The harder you chase, the faster the dream dissolves. The more desperately you want, the more reality twists away from you. Every longing becomes a repellent force, scattering potential futures like startled birds. Does this mean that wanting is futile? Is desire always a self-defeating act? Or is there another law, a deeper rhythm beneath the noise, that can be heard only in the silence after wanting has collapsed? Quantum mechanics tells you, every act of observation is interference. The observed reality is never pure. It is never untouched. Your own gaze is a pollutant. Your attention is a storm. The very force that you thought would summon your dream is the force that corrupts it. Desire as sabotage, intention as a closed loop, wanting as a poison in the system. The act of wanting is an attempt to bend the world. But every act of bending distorts the pattern. The field resists. The universe pushes back. Every desperate hope creates the opposite of what you seek. The cycle repeats. You want, you focus, you sabotage, you grieve, and then you want again, harder, more desperately, more violently. Your own energy becomes your enemy. The more intense the longing, the more vicious the collapse. The quantum wave function recoils. The field defends itself. The world refuses to be cornered by your hunger. You are taught to pursue, to insist, to force reality to comply. But the deeper law is motion through stillness, unfolding through detachment. The more you need, the less you receive. The more you demand, the more you are denied. This is the collapse of wanting. The realization that every desire is a wave that cannot be captured, a possibility that cannot be held. Each act of longing alters the future, not by summoning it, but by shattering its fragile symmetry. You do not get what you want. You get the aftermath of your own interference. You do not manifest your vision. You inherit the chaos of your own pursuit. There is no comfort here, only a stark, clinical exposure of the paradox that underlies all wishing. Your own intentions are not your servants. They are your saboteurs. Your own focus is not a tool but a toxin. But this realization is not the end. It is the rupture before the transformation. In the silence after wanting has burned itself out, a new awareness emerges, a perception of the field before measurement, the world before collapse. The true creative force is not desire. It is the unobserved, the unmeasured, the undefined. Power does not flow from the pursuit, but from the potential that waits in the shadow, untouched, unsought. You cannot force the field to deliver what you want. You cannot hunt the quantum deer without it vanishing in the undergrowth. The act of chasing is the act of losing. The act of naming is the act of erasing. This is the nightmare and the key. To create is not to desire. To manifest is not to insist. It is to hold space for possibility, to refuse the collapse, to let the wave tremble unmeasured. But you cannot stay undefined forever. There is a force inside you that will not tolerate ambiguity. The mind craves to know, to name, to want. Yet each time you do, the reality you crave slips further away. The field is alive with futures. Your wanting is a knife, Your attention is a cage. What you chase collapses. What you allow remains infinite. Now you have seen the sabotage of your own desire. But if every act of wanting destroys the possibility of fulfillment, then who or what is guiding your fate? If you are not the master of your destiny, could something inside you be actively hiding futures from you? After discovering your desires are self-sabotage, what if your own subconscious is deliberately hiding the doors to your wildest realities, just out of reach? After discovering your desires are self-sabotage, what if your own subconscious is deliberately hiding the doors to your wildest realities, just out of reach? You have traveled through paradox, witnessed the collapse of your own longing, and seen the act of wanting turn against you. But the next revelation is even more unsettling. The enemy is not just the world outside or the quantum law that twists your desires. The saboteur may live inside your own mind, deep in the subconscious machinery you barely know exists. The conscious mind is tiny, flickering, always striving to control. But beneath it moves the immense, silent field of the subconscious. The part of you that dreams without your permission, that reacts before you can think, that decides before you can justify. This is the hidden engine, the field of infinite potential. But what if the subconscious is not your servant, but your jailer? What if it is hiding doors you will never see, realities you cannot imagine, futures just beyond your reach? You have seen how wanting sabotages reality. But beneath every conscious desire, the subconscious moves, shaping the field with laws of its own. It is the architect of your fate, the quantum hand that opens and closes doors before you ever approach. The conscious mind makes wishes, but the subconscious chooses which ones are even possible. It is a filter, a censor, a puppet master with invisible strings. Why do some dreams refuse to manifest, no matter how intensely you want them? Why do certain possibilities never even occur to you, as if hidden behind a velvet curtain? Why do your most sacred wishes die in the shadow, never to see daylight? Because your subconscious is a quantum gatekeeper. It shapes the very field in which your conscious mind moves. It decides which wave functions you are even allowed to observe. Every trauma, every belief, every fear is encoded in this silent machinery. Your mind is a labyrinth of locked doors. The field of possibility is real, but your access to it is tightly controlled. You think you want freedom, success, love, or abundance. But if your subconscious has hidden these doors, you can chase them forever and never find the key. Your longing is genuine, but the gate is locked. The door dissolves each time you approach. Why would your own mind sabotage you? The subconscious is ancient, paranoid, shaped by survival more than desire. Its laws are written in the language of safety, not fulfillment. If your deepest longing triggers a threat, real or imagined, the subconscious will hide that reality. It will blind you to the path, erase the map, bury the treasure. You are not fighting the universe. You are fighting your own machinery. This is not a failure. It is a design. The subconscious is programmed to keep you safe, not satisfied. It would rather deny you every joy than risk your destruction. Every wish you chase passes through this firewall, this quantum censorship. Only what is deemed safe is allowed to appear in the field. How do you know this is happening? The evidence is everywhere. The patterns you repeat, the cycles you cannot break, the realities that feel forever out of reach. The way you sabotage your own progress, walk in circles, lose the scent at the moment of breakthrough. The doors are hidden because your mind does not trust you with the power you seek. Your own potential terrifies the machinery inside. The field is vast, but your path is narrowed by unseen hands. Can you ever outsmart this saboteur? Can you convince the subconscious to reveal the doors? Or are you doomed to chase phantoms forever, longing for realities that dissolve the moment you draw near? Awareness is the first disruption. The willingness to see the sabotage, to question the hidden machinery, to interrogate the gatekeeper, to ask, what am I not allowed to see? What future is my mind hiding from me? What reality is censored, not by fate, but by fear? The quantum saboteur does not fear your wanting. It fears your awakening. It fears what would happen if you saw all doors, all futures, all possibilities at once. The subconscious cannot be bullied, but it can be courted, can be befriended. The machinery can be rewired, the code rewritten. But this requires a new kind of power, the courage to meet your own shadow, to face the patterns you inherited, the fears you swallowed, the rules you never chose. Are you willing to see the sabotage? Are you ready to ask for the keys, even if the doors open onto madness? Next, we will confront the mirage that protects this machinery. If your subconscious hides the truth, why does every moment of clarity dissolve when you reach for it? What if certainty is a mirage designed to keep you lost? If your subconscious hides the truth, why does every moment of clarity dissolve when you reach for it? What if certainty is a mirage designed to keep you lost? Clarity has always been sold as the finish line. Every system, every philosophy, every method of self-development promises that, at last, the fog will lift and the path will be revealed. The horizon is filled with images of perfect focus. The guru on the mountain, the entrepreneur with a vision, the seeker whose eyes finally open to the truth. It is marketed as a destination, a reward for struggle and faith. You are told to wait for it, work for it, worship it. But clarity, in practice, behaves nothing like the fantasy. The closer you get, the faster it slips away. Every breakthrough is followed by a new layer of confusion. The shining moment of certainty vanishes like water through your fingers, replaced by a deeper mystery, a wider unknown. You spend your life approaching the horizon, only to watch it recede as you move forward. This is not personal failure. This is not a lack of discipline, intelligence, or commitment. This is the architecture of the mind itself, a mechanism that keeps the field of possibility forever just out of reach. The subconscious, as you've seen, hides doors from your conscious grasp. But it also engineers the experience of clarity as a moving target, a mirage in the desert of becoming. Why does this happen? Why does every aha moment dissolve into questions? Because the machinery of the psyche is designed to prevent collapse. The mind is terrified of the quantum death that comes with certainty. As soon as you believe you have found your answer, your purpose, your absolute direction, the field reacts. The system creates new doubts, new shadows, new variables. The subconscious does not want you to collapse the wave. It wants you to keep searching, to remain in motion. Clarity is the carrot that keeps you running on the treadmill of becoming. Every time you reach for it, it shimmers, inviting just beyond the next choice, the next insight, the next transformation. But it is always just far enough to keep you from settling. This is not a design flaw. It is the secret that keeps you expanding, growing, remaining undefined. You may believe that if you try hard enough, meditate long enough, think deeply enough, you will reach the ultimate answer. But the truth is, every answer contains a new contradiction. Every solution opens into new complexity. The mind is not built for finality. The quantum field is allergic to closure. This dynamic can be seen everywhere. The moment a theory is proved, a new anomaly appears. The instant a relationship is figured out, a new challenge emerges. The second a business model works, the market changes. In art, in science, in love, certainty is always temporary, always conditional, always on the edge of dissolving. Have you ever noticed that the more certain you become, the less alive you feel? There is a dullness that sets in, a sense of stagnation, of limitation. The mind, once convinced it has the answer, begins to decay. The field closes. Possibility shrinks. The subconscious, sensing this danger, introduces chaos, injects doubt, sabotages your certainty. It does not want you to die to the unknown. Clarity, then, is not an achievement. It is an instrument of expansion, a tool to keep you moving, reaching, growing. The moment you rest in certainty, the system intervenes. Clarity dissolves, replaced by new questions, new paradoxes, new desires. The field reopens. This is why, in your deepest moments of breakthrough, there is always a flicker of discomfort. A sense that the story is not over, the problem not solved, the journey not finished. You are not meant to arrive. You are meant to circle, spiral, expand. Certainty is a mirage. It is a necessary illusion, a trick of the light that draws you forward, motivates you to risk, to act, to learn. But the real secret is that every moment of clarity is temporary. The ground beneath you is always shifting. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is your guardian. It creates the mirage of clarity to protect you from the collapse of potential, to keep you alive in the field of becoming. Every time you try to pin down reality, the system responds with a new mystery, a new challenge, a new invitation to evolve. You may resent this. You may feel betrayed, frustrated, exhausted by the endless chase. But the alternative, true, final clarity is a kind of death. The death of growth, the end of evolution, the collapse of the quantum field. The paradox is sharp and unavoidable. The more you pursue clarity, the less you actually possess. The more you know, the more you realize how much is unknowable. The most enlightened minds are those most haunted by questions. Are you willing to live in the discomfort of never knowing? Can you find peace in the pursuit, not the possession? Can you allow the mirage to draw you forward, without ever expecting to arrive? This is the space of the living paradox, the edge where clarity and confusion dance, where answers dissolve into new beginnings. The mirage is not a lie. It is the invitation to remain in motion, to remain alive, to remain undefined. Having chased the mirage, can surrender give you everything you want, or will it erase all meaning from your desires, leaving you empty? Having chased the mirage, can surrender give you everything you want, or will it erase all meaning from your desires, leaving you empty? You have been told to let go, to release attachment, to surrender your desires. This advice is offered as a panacea for suffering, a spiritual hack, a way to finally receive all that you seek. But the truth of surrender is not the gentle, soothing balm you've been promised. It is a paradox, sharp-edged, capable of delivering both abundance and annihilation. You arrive at this precipice after chasing clarity across the desert, watching every answer dissolve into new ambiguity. Exhausted, you stand on the cliff of letting go, hoping for relief. The promise is simple: surrender, and the universe will deliver. But the actual experience of surrender is far more unsettling. To surrender is to release control, to step back from the machinery of wanting, from the feverish choreography of intention and focus. It is to become an open field, undefined, unanchored, vulnerable to whatever might arise. It is a leap into the unknown. What happens in that space? Sometimes miracles, sometimes nothing at all. Sometimes the meaning that animated your striving evaporates, replaced by emptiness, silence, a sense of futility. This is the shadow side of letting go, a dimension rarely discussed in the language of self-help. Letting go is not the abandonment of all desire. It is the release of attachment to outcomes. It is the willingness to allow the field to organize itself without the constant interference of your will. It is a form of trust, a willingness to be surprised, to be disappointed, to be transformed. The paradox is immediate. The moment you truly surrender, the field becomes possible again. The quantum wave function, so often collapsed by your intention, reopens. Potential breathes. Reality relaxes. The doors hidden by your subconscious begin to reappear, subtle and inviting. But with this expansion comes the risk of meaninglessness. If everything is possible, then nothing is certain. If you are no longer defined by your desire, who are you? If you let go of your story, what story remains? Surrender is a death, a letting go not just of outcomes, but of identity, narrative, selfhood. In that empty space, miracles can happen. Possibility can flood in, but so can the void. The mind resists this. The ego clings to meaning, to progress, to the illusion of authorship. Surrender feels like annihilation. It is the final taboo, the refusal to grip, to shape, to impose. It is the silence after the music stops. But in that silence, the field reorganizes. Possibility stirs. The world becomes wild again. You do not receive what you want. You receive what is possible. Some call this grace. Some call it chaos. Some call it emptiness. The truth is, it is all of these at once. Can you allow this emptiness? Can you trust the field to organize itself without your interference? Can you risk receiving what you did not imagine, did not plan, did not create? Surrender is the ultimate risk. It is the letting go not only of the dream, but of the dreamer. It is the willingness to be rewritten by the field itself. The paradox holds: the less you cling, the more is possible. The less you insist, the more the world becomes alive with surprise. Surrender is not the absence of desire. It is the refusal to collapse possibility. But the shadow never leaves. The danger of emptiness, of meaninglessness, is real. Some fall into surrender and never return, lost in the endless field, unanchored, unable to shape reality at all. The art is to surrender with awareness, to trust but not abandon, to release but not dissolve, to allow the field to breathe, while still honoring the shape of your longing. This is the paradox of letting go. It unlocks everything and nothing. It opens every door, but only if you can stand in the threshold without collapsing into despair. Are you willing to risk emptiness for the sake of expansion? Can you surrender without disappearing? Now that surrender has broken the cycle, what if not choosing at all opens an infinite doorway into worlds no one else can see? Or are you standing at the edge of madness? Now that surrender has broken the cycle, what if not choosing at all opens an infinite doorway into worlds no one else can see? Or are you standing at the edge of madness? There comes a moment, after the machinery of desire collapses and the comfort of surrender is tested, when the very question of choice itself shatters. You are told that to live is to choose, that identity requires decision, that each act of living is the narrowing of possibility into a singular thread of becoming. But in the aftermath of surrender, an ancient and radical alternative begins to shimmer. What happens if you refuse to choose at all? This is not hesitation. It is not fear. It is not the paralysis of indecision that plagues the uncertain. This is an act of conscious rebellion, a refusal to participate in the collapse of the field. In this stance, you do not freeze. You expand. You become the living contradiction, simultaneously everything and nothing, no longer bound by the logic of exclusion. Here, the doorway to the infinite creaks open. In ordinary reality, the refusal to choose is dismissed as chaos, as failure, as proof of weakness or madness. The world is structured around the ritual of selection. Each system, each relationship, each future demands you declare your preference, plant your flag, own your path. But in the quantum field, the refusal to choose is the only way to preserve the entire field. The moment you refuse to collapse the wave, every world, every timeline, every version remains alive. The infinite doorway is not a fantasy. It is the space between all possible selves. It is the architecture of the undefined, the corridor that branches in every direction at once. When you refuse to choose, you enter a state of possibility that is alive, raw, and electric. You become the field itself, untamed, impossible to predict, impossible to control. To stand in this doorway is to become invisible to the systems of the world. You are not marketable, not targetable, not enslaved to any script. You belong to nothing and everything. Every algorithm fails to profile you. Every attempt at definition shatters against your refusal. You are the glitch in the matrix, the variable that cannot be accounted for. But this doorway is not without terror. To refuse to choose is to hover at the edge of madness. The mind, conditioned to seek certainty, rebels against the open field. The ego craves form. The psyche demands narrative. In the infinite corridor, there is no plot, no outcome, no story to resolve. Meaning dissolves into multiplicity. Selfhood fragments into possibility. The price of this freedom is the threat of dissolution. Yet, within this threat is the seed of ultimate creation. Every artist, every inventor, every mystic has tasted this edge, the vertigo of the undefined, the terror and thrill of infinite potential. It is the place where all things are possible and nothing is inevitable. Every future exists at once, waiting for attention to collapse it into form. Most turn away. The call of the infinite is too disorienting. The world seduces with comfort, with finality, with the promise of a single story. But for those who can tolerate the edge, who can stand at the doorway without fleeing, a new universe becomes visible. Worlds upon worlds, lives upon lives, outcomes upon outcomes. all swirling in the great hall of possibility. To dwell here is to become a new kind of being. You are not just a chooser. You are the field in which all choices arise. You become the possibility before the decision, the song before the note, the canvas before the painting. You are not one. You are all. Every face, every future, every outcome lives within you, vibrant and accessible. This is not madness. It is a return to the primordial intelligence that precedes creation. The refusal to choose is not an abdication of power. It is the reclamation of a power so vast, so uncontainable, that it cannot be measured by any single outcome. It is the state of becoming itself. What does it feel like to stand in the infinite doorway? There is a pulsing sense of potential. Every direction calls to you, every door beckons, every future whispers. There is no anxiety here, no urgency, no pressure to resolve. There is only the thrill of pure being, the raw electricity of uncollapsed possibility. Here, the world becomes fluid. Synchronicities multiply. Coincidences erupt. The boundaries between self and world blur. You do not chase reality. You dance with it. You are not the hunter of outcomes. You are the host of every potential guest. Yet danger is never far. The edge of madness is real. To remain here too long is to risk dissolution, to risk losing the thread of self entirely. The mind can only hold so much ambiguity before it fractures. The art is to visit the doorway, to drink from the well of infinity, but to return to form with new eyes, new courage, new wisdom. Not choosing is a weapon against the tyranny of narrative. It is a shield against the violence of specificity. It is a portal to creativity so radical, so untamed, that it cannot be harnessed by the old logic of goal and outcome. You become the possibility that precedes all things. In this state, new realities flicker at the edge of perception. Lives unlived, futures unclaimed, loves unexplored. You are the host of all that could be. The only cost is the willingness to let go of who you think you are, to step beyond the prison of preference. But who are you in this state? What remains when you become the field itself, the infinite before the choice? With infinite doors before you, what happens if you stop seeking and become the source of possibility itself? Is it the ultimate freedom or annihilation? With infinite doors before you, what happens if you stop seeking and become the source of possibility itself? Is it the ultimate freedom or annihilation? Everything until now has pointed outward, the search for clarity, the ache of wanting, the terror of surrender, the vertigo of standing in the infinite. But there is a transformation waiting at the center of the field, a singularity so radical that it breaks every rule you have known. The shift is not from outcome to outcome, but from seeker to source. To become the source is to invert the direction of desire. Instead of reaching out, you radiate. Instead of longing for possibilities to come to you, you become the well from which all possibility arises. This is the singularity at the heart of being, the center that is everywhere and nowhere. This state is not a new strategy. It is not another technique to manipulate reality. It is a return to the origin, the place before desire divides the world into wanted and unwanted. In the singularity, you are the cause, not the effect. The sun, not the planet. The field, not the wave. You are the axis around which the universe spins. To reach this point is to cease searching. Every act of seeking implies distance, lack, separation. Every desire projects fulfillment into the future, denying it in the present. But at the singularity, the future collapses into now. You are not the one who longs. You are the one from whom longing emerges. This inversion is terrifying. To give up seeking is to surrender the story, the journey, the identity of the hero. There is a kind of ego death, a loss of narrative self. But what arises in its place is a new kind of freedom, a power that cannot be taken or measured. The source does not chase outcomes. The source generates reality from within. Every possibility radiates outward. Every future emerges from the core. There is no more hunger, no more grasping, no more reaching. The field is alive, and you are its pulse. This state is not passivity. It is the highest act of creation. To be the source is to play with the very fabric of existence. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are the author of fate. Every moment becomes a brushstroke, every thought a ripple in the quantum field. There is no more waiting, no more hoping, no more chasing after shadows. The singularity is the end of longing and the birth of presence. It is the place where reality becomes transparent, where the distance between you and the world dissolves. But this power comes at a cost. The loss of the seeker is also the loss of the narrative. You no longer live in the old story of striving and achievement. You become something the world cannot recognize, cannot reward, cannot control. You are the glitch in every system, the unclassifiable, the origin point. Some will call this madness. Some will see it as annihilation. The ego cannot survive here. Only presence remains, only the pulse of creation itself. In this state, miracles become ordinary. Synchronicity is constant. The boundaries between self and world dissolve. You are the field, the source, the singularity at the heart of all things. Is this ultimate freedom? Or is it the final erasure, the end of selfhood, the dissolution of everything you thought you were? The paradox cannot be resolved. To become the source is to lose the story of yourself, but to gain the infinite freedom of pure creation. The singularity is both birth and death, beginning and end. You are not the seeker. You are the origin. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. In this state, every possibility radiates from you. Every world is born from your presence. At the edge of the singularity, what if your greatest expansion requires you to stay undefined, forever incomplete, forever expanding, forever impossible to pin down? With infinite doors before you, what happens if you stop seeking and become the source of possibility itself? Is it the ultimate freedom or annihilation? Everything until now has pointed outward, the search for clarity, the ache of wanting, the terror of surrender, the vertigo of standing in the infinite. But there is a transformation waiting at the center of the field, a singularity so radical that it breaks every rule you have known. The shift is not from outcome to outcome, but from seeker to source. To become the source is to invert the direction of desire. Instead of reaching out, you radiate. Instead of longing for possibilities to come to you, you become the well from which all possibility arises. This is the singularity at the heart of being, the center that is everywhere and nowhere. This state is not a new strategy. It is not another technique to manipulate reality. It is a return to the origin, the place before desire divides the world into wanted and unwanted. In the singularity, you are the cause, not the effect. The sun, not the planet. The field, not the wave. You are the axis around which the universe spins. To reach this point is to cease searching. Every act of seeking implies distance, lack, separation. Every desire projects fulfillment into the future, denying it in the present. But at the singularity, the future collapses into now. You are not the one who longs. You are the one from whom longing emerges. This inversion is terrifying. To give up seeking is to surrender the story, the journey, the identity of the hero. There is a kind of ego death, a loss of narrative self. But what arises in its place is a new kind of freedom, a power that cannot be taken or measured. The source does not chase outcomes. The source generates reality from within. Every possibility radiates outward. Every future emerges from the core. There is no more hunger, no more grasping, no more reaching. The field is alive, and you are its pulse. This state is not passivity. It is the highest act of creation. To be the source is to play with the very fabric of existence. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are the author of fate. Every moment becomes a brushstroke, every thought a ripple in the quantum field. There is no more waiting, no more hoping, no more chasing after shadows. The singularity is the end of longing and the birth of presence. It is the place where reality becomes transparent, where the distance between you and the world dissolves. But this power comes at a cost. The loss of the seeker is also the loss of the narrative. You no longer live in the old story of striving and achievement. You become something the world cannot recognize, cannot reward, cannot control. You are the glitch in every system, the unclassifiable, the origin point. Some will call this madness. Some will see it as annihilation. The ego cannot survive here. Only presence remains, only the pulse of creation itself. In this state, miracles become ordinary. Synchronicity is constant. The boundaries between self and world dissolve. You are the field, the source, the singularity at the heart of all things. Is this ultimate freedom? Or is it the final erasure, the end of selfhood, the dissolution of everything you thought you were? The paradox cannot be resolved. To become the source is to lose the story of yourself, but to gain the infinite freedom of pure creation. The singularity is both birth and death, beginning and end. You are not the seeker. You are the origin. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. In this state, every possibility radiates from you. Every world is born from your presence. At the edge of the singularity, what if your greatest expansion requires you to stay undefined, forever incomplete, forever expanding, forever impossible to pin down?